Hello friends, how are you doing? Oh, I'm feeling fine and I'm doing well. And in this time of an age, that's very good to hear, because as you know, we having gone through a terrible time with diseases and all sorts of health threats. But let's face it, all those threats, or many of them, or at least the most deadly ones, were already with us really for a long time. And I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to talk about what we can do about it, which is the most important part. Am I doomed? Or do I have within my reach the power to change everything for the better? And that second proposition is what I'm going to talk about. And I am Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, getting to you like every Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with a rerun every Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time through the courtesy of Truth Be Told Radio Network. Now, you don't have to get me necessarily on those times, because you can go to Spotify and search for Truth Be Told Radio Network. And once again, I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, and once you get me, I hope you love the message that I have, because my message is of pure optimism, of stay away from a hospital, stay away from doctors, but not because you want to stay away, but because you don't need to, because you have taken control of your health, you're at the helm in your health department, and that you are going to be taking care of you and the people that you love, and you will not necessarily need me to deal with the disease. Now, you can also, and this is very important, you can also go to your favorite social media and search for me. I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez with BioCare Hospital, and I will be happy to answer all your questions and give you a really upfront seat to listen and to hopefully be inspired and guided to a healthier world. That's what I do. That's what I love to do. I'm a doctor who does not like to see sick people. You know why? Because many of them should not be there in the first place. Many of them, I wish I would have seen them a year before or longer or whatever. And every time I see this, it really frustrates me. It really frustrates me, because then is when I see that, number one, we do not know that much about our own personal health care. Number two, we don't do too much about it. The bottom line is we don't really care. The third part is that we all believe that this body of ours can withstand anything that we can throw at it. And if need be, if anything goes wrong, I can always go to my doctor, get a prescription, go to the pharmacy, take a pill, and voila, everything is gone. Well, think again. A lot of these things that I have said are not really true. We have a wonderful body. I have no question about it. Every time I think of who created us, brings me again to the fact that we have a body that was created in perfection. But even the best machine, even the best thing, if we don't care for it, it's going to be ruined. I can give you a Rolls Royce, and you can turn it into a piece of junk in a couple of years. And that's what many people do. I mean, you look at people on the news or on the street, and I see some people that I mean, they are 20-something, they are teenagers, and they are on drugs, very badly fed, in very bad condition. And you say, how long is this person going to live? Is he going to die in their 30s? Is he going to die in his 20s of an overdose? Is he going to be killed because the environment he lives in? And then you say, this is a whole wasted, completely wasted life. And I hate to see all those things. But when it comes to my own body, when it comes to me, then I say, no, that's not going to be the story. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to take care of what I eat. I'm going to take care about my physical activity. I'm going to be taking care of my periods of rest, periods of activity. I'm going to be making sure I have a good breakfast so I can deliver at work. And I'm going to have a very leisurely, tiny dinner so I can have a deep sleep during the night and recoup all the functions that my body needs to recoup and reset. We have talked about many times of what are the benefits of sleep. And there are plenty and many. And all you have to do again is search on Spotify, Truth Be Told Radio Network, and look for all those segments where we talk about most everything that I have mentioned right now. So that is what we want to do. Now, let's say we take very good care of ourselves. Let's say we eat well, we do some exercise, anything. We are taking care of ourselves, we're proud of it, we know what we're doing, etc., etc., etc. And then I bumped into something that many of you have heard of. I don't know if many of you don't even know what it is, but I'm going to tell you right now what it is. If there's a fine piece of machinery right now, literally in the air, is an aircraft. Aircraft is, I think it summarizes everything we know about technology, about engineering, about advancement. To me, aircraft marvels me. I have flown. I don't even know how long I have been on an airplane, how many times, for how many hours, and still marvels me. It absolutely marvels me that I'm sitting in a very nice chair, having a very nice conversation, and having a cup of coffee while I look through the window at the sky, at the land, and I'm flying at 1,000 kilometers an hour at 45,000 feet above the ground. Yet, I'm just as comfortable as if I were sitting in my living room. And then that plane lands, and of course, at that speed, in no time, I'm going to be wherever. I'm going to leave Los Angeles and land in Tokyo, or I'm going to leave Denver and land in Chicago only a couple of hours later. It still, to me, is a wonderful thing. And it is all thanks to the creativity, to the ingenuity, to the capacity of all our engineers that have been able to create such a fine piece of machinery. However, after so many hours of flight, after so many landings and so many takeoffs, after so many hours of engine performance, some things need to be replaced, some things need to be kept in good shape. So yes, of course, it sounds logical that every now and then you check your tires like you do with your car. It's logical that you check your brakes, the fuel tank, this and the other. And of course, like when you go to the gas station, you check the oil levels or lubrication or the filters and so forth. But when you're flying, mistakes can be very expensive, both money-wise, second in lives. These are hundreds of lives you have up there. You cannot play with it. You have to make sure that aircraft is in perfect condition. So there might be things you see, might be things you do not see. And one of the things the aircraft industry does, that I thank them for, is what they call the D check. D as in David. And it means that a plane, even in very good shape, even without any complaint, even without any report, without any evidence of malfunction, after so many hours of flight, after so many takeoffs and landings, after so many hours of service, has to go through what they call the D check. And what does that mean? That means the plane is going to stop, is going to be taken out of service, is going to be taken to a state-of-the-art hangar, and it's going to be dismantled. All the seats are going to be taken out, all the panels are going to be removed, all the entertainment system is going to go out of the plane until you have the whole aircraft completely empty, and you can see and read and check every single wire, every single connection, every possible leak. Not that we're waiting for it to show, not that we're waiting for somebody to tell me, this doesn't work. No, I go there every so many hours of service, and I'm going to check that everything is as it should be. And if I see any little rust, if I see any little twisted wire, if I see any drop of something, I'm going to make sure that little drop of something was a kid that dropped a lollipop under the seat and not a leakage of any kind. And that twisted wire, I'm going to replace it completely. And that little piece of rust, I'm going to see why is it happening. And I'm going to fix it. Not only fix it, but I'm going to see what's going on. That's what I'm talking about. I don't have to wait to have a symptom. I don't have to wait to have a problem. I don't have to wait to see what's wrong with me. No. I want to do a D check on you, because that can give you 10 years of very good health. And we're going to talk about that. You give me 10 days, I give you 10 years. Hello, my friends. This is Dr. Rodriguez. This is Truth Be Told Radio Network. And I'm here with you, and just like every Friday, when we broadcast on Truth Be Told Radio Network at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then we rerun every Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But you have all the social media, and I please ask you to follow me. Become a follower. Give us a like, give us a follower, because that enriches our capacity to talk to you, that enriches our reach, that enriches everything, and hopefully your own life. Because what I, Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, like to talk about you is I like to talk about health. I don't like to talk about disease. We have to, because unfortunately we're surrounded. But we're surrounded because we have a number of conditions that we have created. Whether because of ignorance or comfort or you name it, whatever, we're not treating our bodies as we should. So what we have to do is become aware of the fact that 7 of the 10 deadliest diseases in today's environment are going to be caused in big part by our lifestyles. Because what we feed our body, because the way we treat it, because what we demand from it. So if you get that in good perspective, you say, I think I like to live healthier. Sometimes I even forget about length, because of course longevity is fantastic, but I see some people that you say, no, I wouldn't like to live like that. Not 10 years. I wouldn't like to live like that a month. That must be terrible. So what you have to do is say, I want to keep my health, I want to keep my sanity. Because without sanity, what are we? What are we going to do if I cannot tell you're my daughter? If I cannot remember it's your birthday? If I cannot give you a hug? Because I have an emotional life. You see, life is made out of many things. And I have to say all of them are a real blessing. But with every blessing we have, we first have to thank God for it, but second, we have to do something for it. Because when you read, you find that you were given instructions, that you were told what to do. And there's no need of fine print. It's very clear. It's very open. All you have to do is read it and obey. But we don't. For many people, living life is having fun, throwing things out, enjoyment, and that type of thing. And what you are doing in the process is we're damaging our body with sugar, with flour, with alcohol, with tobacco, with food additives, with high fructose syrup, and all these things that were created in a lab, not in nature. So what we have to do is we have to stop, reverse a lot of things, change a lot of things, and say, I'm going to start taking care of my body. And that in itself is going to be a big advancement. And if you need guidance, if you need inspiration, I want you to follow me in this social media of your choice. Follow me, please. On Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. Because when you follow me, we become a community. I know you care for it. And I'm going to be able to guide my words, my programs a lot better, because what I want to do is I want to address you. I want to answer your questions, which, by the way, you can place your questions, you can ask your question on any of your social media of your choice. I'll promise I'll get right back to you. Well, but going back to the substance of our conversation, we're saying that if we have all these problems happening because of what we do, well, yes, it would be fairly easy to say, I will stop smoking, I will stop drinking, I will start sleeping better, I'm going to start a little exercise at home, etc. So that's going to be very helpful in itself. But, you know, as we live, even if we live supposedly healthy, even if we try, there are a lot of little tricks today in our environment that are going to be still harmful, and they're not within our reach. What happens with electromagnetic radiation? What happens with air pollution? What happens with water pollution? What happens with toxics in the soil? Or agricultural methods that bring us a lot of vegetables that were forced grown and that do not have all the nutritional value they should have. What are we going to do with vegetables that have been grown into soils that have been used over and over and over again, depleting those soils from every possible nutrient. A depleted soil is going to be a depleted product, and that means a depleted you. No question why mineral deficiencies are the #1 deficiency in America. So I could tell you a lot of examples. But you take care of yourself, you know you're doing what you should be doing, you want to be healthy, you want to continue living the life you have, you want to continue working, and when the time comes for retirement, you want to travel or to spend time at home or to go to your little house by the lake and have a wonderful summertime and have children come over and grandchildren come over and have a barbecue or bake an apple pie and so forth. That's what you want. But you want to say, okay, I'm taking care of myself because I want to do this. But there are a number of situations that I don't clearly see, and I'd like to check. So there are two attitudes to this part. One is what we call a checkup. A checkup is you go to the lab, you go to the doctor, they do an EKG, they do this, they do that, and they tell you where you are. Well, very commendable, but not enough. Because my proposal is we're going to check everything, but we're going to be correcting. We're going to be fixing every item that we find that has a problem as we go. You give me 10 days, and I will give you 10 years of better health. Because if you come to the hospital, if you come to IBC, if you engage yourself not in a checkup, but in a BioCare health getaway for 10 days, we're going to go as we would go on a D check on an airplane. We're going to remove the seats, we're going to strip the walls, we're going to see what's happening. We want to see what has happened. So we're going to be checking all your health. But we're not going to just say, well, you have a high sugar, you have high pressure, you have... No. We're going to intervene in whatever problem we find. I'm going to say, you know what? This is one of the problems that is happening, and this is because of this, and we're going to begin solving it now. And I'm going to start telling you how you can prevent it from happening again. And these are the changes you have to make. I repeatedly say that sometimes I'm afraid of people that tell me, you know, I'm very health conscious and I take good care of myself. Sometimes I panic because I don't know what you understand by taking care of yourself. But many times, what we do is we do things that we saw, that we read, that a friend told us, that not necessarily is what you should be doing. Or it might be good for some people, not for your particular case. That's why a 10-day BioCare health getaway makes a lot of sense. Because you say, I have vacation. I have vacation time. And I've been thinking for a long time of taking a cruise. I'm going to get in a cruise ship. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to drink. I'm going to jump all over. I'm going to eat 7 times a day. I'm going to gain 5 pounds. And I'm going to spend so many $1,000. Why don't you take that time for yourself, for your real benefit? Why don't you turn that money into a real investment and profit from your investment? Because if you do something like this, not only you're going to improve dramatically in a very short time, but you're going to understand how your body, not anybody else's, works and what you have to take care of in your own body. And you're going to see what has affected your body so far and what has been an asset. Then you can say, I can avoid this and I can increase that. You see? You begin to see the real light. You're going to understand your body and understand what you need to do for your body. That's what I mean every time I say, give me 10 days and I will give you 10 years of well-being. It's very simple. A BioCare health getaway. Well, my friends, I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez. I'm very excited. I have to tell you, I'm very excited about this, about the BioCare Health Getaway. 10 days program that can change your life. I've done it over and over and over again for a long time. I had never put a name on it. Probably not even thought of it as the concept that I'm giving you today. But I have done it for many years. I have had a lot of patients that come as companions to somebody. And you know, it all this started, 20, 30, 40 years ago. Because many times I saw a patient that came to the hospital because unfortunately that person had cancer. And then, as I was talking to the patient, I was talking to the companion. And I was looking at the patient, I was looking at the companion. And I'm the type of doctor that likes to socialize, to talk about things. Because to me, I'm the kind of doctor that believes that the environment you come from, that the life you have had can be an asset or can be a foe in the development of your disease. So by doing that, many times I heard that, yes, this patient has 5 children, 3 girls, 2 boys. And how old are they? And what are they doing? And what are their problems? And very early in my professional career, very, very early, I could tell you that from medical school, I would see a patient, I would be talking to a patient with flu, something very simple. And I was working at a very simple hospital at that time. And by talking to the person about their flu and their symptoms, I would look sideways and say, and who is he? And the guy would say, oh, that's my son. How old is he? He's 12 years old. Well, he doesn't look good. I think he might have parasites. Would you like me to check him? Oh, sure. And sure enough, he had parasites, which in Mexico, particularly in southern Mexico, were fairly common. And they take from the potential of growth and development of any child. And I could see this 8-year-old coming to the hospital, coming before my eyes, because his mother had a flu. I would feel very bad if I wouldn't have done anything for this child. And this was a public hospital, so I knew it wouldn't cost the mother anything. All I had to do is fill some papers and say, I want this boy to be my patient also. And of course, in a public hospital, the more you see, the merrier. They don't care if you see 100 patients. So that gave me the opportunity to start very early in my medical career working toward prevention. But in the real way, being proactive, doing something about it. See, and it evolved to the point where when I started working at BioCare, when we actually created BioCare, I'm one of the founders, because we wanted a place where we did what we can do now. Then I talked to patients and I would say, you have breast cancer. You know this it's not a genetic disease, but it tends to run in families. So I say, you have any girls in your family? Yes, I have a 35, I have a 40-year-old daughter, etc. I said, have them checked. Or at least make them aware that they have to be more aware than average of their breasts. I mean, if you have to do a good revision every 6 months, do it every 3. Because by doing a self-examination, you can do it every day. Just be aware that your chances might be bigger. And because I know that the earlier I find it, the better off I'm going to be. Results are going to be more successful. So, but you have to make people aware of that. You have to tell them. If you see somebody with breast cancer and you do nothing about the family, you're missing the point. The other one, many times I would see the patient and I look at the spouse and say, how are you doing? Because I have seen, and probably you have seen too, that many times a patient, or rather, the caregiver becomes the patient afterwards. Because caregiving is a big burden for many people. It is a big challenge for many people. So you have to make sure the caregiver is being taken care of, is being understood, and it's being supported. Because after all, he or she are the people that are doing the work, the harder job. I mean, for doctors, okay, we get the glory, but we wrote the prescription. We told the nurse what to do. But the caregiver is the one that's day and night helping their loved one. They need health support. And again, many times I had a patient that came with cancer for 3 weeks' time, and I would talk to the spouse and say, I'm going to give you 10 days of therapy. I'm going to do intravenous targeted nutrition. I'm going to review what are your conditions. I'm going to see if you have any inflammatory process and help it, etc. And then I could see many times how these people left very grateful because they felt the change. So this is nothing new for me. I have always been working on the preventative side because I believe in it. And it's not because prevention is magic. It is because prevention is our sacred duty. It's written. You don't have to take my word for it. It's written. If you open your book and read it carefully, it's there. I have given a body that I have to take care. I have to take care of it because it's sacred. It was handed to me by my Creator. So when I see all those things is when I see I have to be on the prevention side. But then I went further. Not only I have to prevent what I think could be wrong, not only I have to correct what's happening, no, I have to be even more proactive. Because working on my behalf can be very good, but many times I do not know what's wrong with me. we might not even know what could be wrong with me. So that's the time when you say, Dr. Rodriguez, I'm going to take your word for it. I'm going to go to IBC hospital. I'm going to BioCare myself for 10 days. I'm going to get into this adventure where I'm going to invest for my health. And you're going to see as you do it, how things start to happen. Why? Because I'm going to be checking inflammation, I'm going to be checking sugar levels, I'm going to check heart condition, I'm going to check your breasts if you're a woman, I'm going to check your prostate if you're a man. I'm going to do a deep check on you. And I'm going to be working on the things that need work. And I'm going to be doing programs for you to follow. Because of course, it would be unreal, and I don't lie to anybody, I don't like lying, unreal to think that in 10 days, your life will be improved for the following 10 years. But in those 10 days, number one, you're going to feel better, you're going to look better, you're going to lose some pounds, you're going to lose inflammation, you're going to have a lot of very, very, very obvious benefits. I always tease my patients. I always say, look, don't believe me, but when you go back to work, when you go back to the office, when you go back to your school, when you go back to your family, people are going to say, what did you do exactly? Well, I was on this health program and so forth. No, you probably had Botox, or you probably had this, or you probably have that. You see, I have a patient that called me and she was laughing because her daughter insisted in looking for the scars behind the ears because she surely had had plastic surgery. And that happens because a lot of the wrinkles in the skin, in the face, are due to inflammation. As we get rid of excess water, as the inflammation in our legs go down, so they do in our eyes, in our all the wrinkle patterns in our faces. So for many people, it's very obvious because most of us are loaded with salt, bad foods, coloring, flavoring, and all those things that the food industry knows very well on how to feed them to us, convincing us that they are completely neutral for our health. No, they're not, and I wish they were. And as a very good nutritionist in London that I truly admire, I have to go back to the important fact. You can actually eat anything as long as you cook it from scratch. So don't believe the industry. Food comes from the field, food comes from the farm, and you're going to be in good shape. Nevertheless, even taking care of yourself, there's a time when you have to take a BioCare health getaway and say, for the following 10 days, I'm going to rest, I'm going to be guided into physical activity, easy, simple to do, and I'm going to be explained how to live healthier and better. And during those 10 days, I'm going to improve. I'm going to look better. I'm going to be happier. But more important, I will have the inspiration and guidelines to live long years very healthy. Hello, my friends. I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, and happy to be with you, particularly today because I'm beginning to get together something that has been in my mind for 50 years. I've been a doctor for 50 years, more than that. And ever since I was in medical school, working at public hospitals and so forth, I learned that by checking people out and making sure we can tell beforehand what the problem will be, I can fix it with very little money, very little time, very little effort. And then, when you have a real big problem, then it becomes very difficult, many times unfixable, and expensive. I talked about an example of a woman that came to my office in a public hospital because of a common disease, but she had a child. And I happened to look at this child and said, "Is that child your son?" "Yes." "How old is he?" "He's 8 years." And I would say, "I think he has parasites." And then add him to my list and say, "I want to check him out and treat him." And you know, these children bloom when you get parasites off their body. And then you cannot stop to think that that treatment costed nothing, peanuts, cents. However, had I done nothing, this child would have missed on his growth, on his brain development, on the size of his body, on all his possibilities. That would have been unfixable 20 years later. There's no way I can recoup the size he should have had. There is no way I can recoup the mental possibilities he could have had. That's it. It's a lost opportunity. So I'm talking today about something that to me is very important. We have to think that there is a point in our lives when we have to stop. And I mean stop. I have people that tell me, "Doctor, why don't you give me a prescription and I will follow whatever you tell me?" And I said, "No. If you want a prescription to take something and you think that's going to help, be my guest. But I'm not that type of doctor. I don't like to fool myself. I don't like to fool the people I deal with. Because I know there might be a little bit improvement. You know, humans, in terms of health, we're very funny. When we're sick and we improve a little bit, we're very joyful and happy. "Oh, I feel a lot better. Oh, I think blah, blah, blah." And the minute you are out of the crisis, "Oh, I can get with my friends, I can go to the movies, I can do..." We're absolutely disrespectful. We just don't take care of ourselves. So if we don't take care of ourselves, much less we're going to stop to say, "I have lived 50 years. I think I have taken good care of myself. I think I have been good in the way I eat. I don't see any problem, really. I have good blood pressure. I have good sugar level. I think I'm healthy." But listen to yourself. I think I'm healthy. So is the airplane that's flying you today from New York to Los Angeles doesn't have any complaint. Nobody has any problem. Nobody has ever reported any problem. Yet, as soon as that plane lands in Los Angeles, it's going to be flown back to somewhere in the US, where it's going to go to state-of-the-art hangar, and it's going to be stripped of a lot of things, so somebody can go in and make sure that, yes, this aircraft is in fantastic shape. But also, that check can tell me, "Oh, you know, there's a little crack here, there's a little wire here, there's a little connection that's loose here." So as I check the whole aircraft, I'm going to be putting everything that I think has a problem. I'm going to be replacing it, changing it, fixing it. And then I'm going to put my aircraft together, and then it's going to fly back for the benefit of ours, and mainly for our safety. that plane has double-checked in terms of performance and safety. That's all I'm talking about. I have lived, let's say, 50 years, 60 years, and I don't think to have any problem, I think, but I'm going to go to the BioCare Health Getaway and be going through a D-check, just as an aircraft. And they're going to review me, they're going to do blood testing, they're going to do ultrasound testing, I'm going to be integrally reviewed by the doctors, and they're going to tell me, you know, you have this, you have that, you have the most common, inflammation. Because inflammation goes with living. Dr. Romero, one of our senior physicians, always says, aging is being inflamed. But you can turn it around. I'm going to give you another hint. After 50 years of age, and anyone that's beyond that 50 know it, we lose about 5% every 10 years of our muscle mass. And you can feel it. You can feel it in your biceps, in your legs. We begin to lose that muscle. Why? Because we're after 50. Now, you say, not me. I want to learn how I can avoid it. And then you come to BioCare Health Getaway Program. And you're going to be intravenously supplemented, and you're going to be treated, and you're going to be using hyperbaric oxygen, and you're going to be dealing with antioxidants, with anti-inflammatory strategies, with exercise, very light exercise programs. And you know what? In those 10 days, you're going to learn how, in only 8 weeks, you will recoup 3% of your muscle mass. 3%. You lost 5 in 10 years. Well, now you're going to get back 3 in only 8 weeks. And if you continue doing it, and believe me, the physical activity you do at the hospital and you're going to learn how to do has nothing to do with gadgets, with machinery, with treadmills, with any machine of any type. Like in anything else, BioCare is about BioCare. We're going to use, are we going to do weightlifting? Sure. Where are the weights? In your body. Every time you walk, every time you climb a stair, every time you do the dishes, every time you vacuum, every time you move, you're working against a resistance, which is your body weight. But that's going to give you a very harmonious muscle development. Because you don't need abnormally big muscles. You need the muscles that serve you. That's in our program. We're going to teach you, number 1, the problems that you have, number 2, how you're going to solve them. That is what BioCare Health Getaway is all about. And many people say, why should I do this? And my answer always is, because it pays to be healthy. Because you're going to profit from it. Let's say you say, I have a vacation, I have some money, I'm going to take a cruise. I'm going to go to Vegas, I'm going to do a trip, I'm going to do something like that, I'm going to have fun. At your health's expense. See, you're paying not only money, you're getting inflamed, you're getting attacked, you're getting excess calories, and the worst type of calories. But you say, okay, I take your word for it. I'm going to invest my money in 10 days at BioCare Hospital. What do I get? You're going to get an anti-inflammatory strategy that you're going to continue following at home. You're going to have hyperbaric oxygen. You're going to have full diagnosis. You're going to be totally evaluated. Your immune system is going to be assessed. We're going to be reviewing your intestinal flora. We're going to be reviewing all your fat deposits. Why? Because fat is not necessarily bad. Remember that it is fat that our best reserve of energy, as long as it's where it should be. Where it should be, wherever we can touch it. If you can grasp it, if you can pinch it, that's good fat. Your buttocks, your legs, your thighs. If you cannot feel it because it's within your abdomen, that's bad fat. Why is it bad? Because it's highly pro-inflammatory. It produces cytokines. It produces substances you don't need in your body that are going to produce resistance to insulin, high blood pressure, heart disease. So this is where you're going to learn how I keep my good fat, how I diminish my bad fat. Because nobody is going to tell you about it. If you go to the doctor, they never have the time to discuss these things with you. And now you're going to be in a place where 24/7 you're going to be taking a very intensive course in how to deal with that wonderful machine that one day your Creator put in your hands and asked you to take care of. BioCare Health Getaway. 10 days, I'll give you 10 years.